I'd like to say a few words on the historic events of the last few days where my administration managed to bring a full retirement, I think a permanent one, to the careers of Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, bringing to an end an armed conflict of two very toxic troll armies, both of them armed to the teeth. You will not believe how dangerous these armies are. And I said to them, fellas, let's do some business. Let's trade. Let's do some trade. And they listen because they're very, very smart people, right on top of their game. And thanks to the efforts of my administration, thank you, Rajiv, Ajit. Very well done, guys. Very, very hard work. But we managed to bring this conflict to a stop. Feels like it's been going on for 1,000 years, and the ugliness had to stop. And I'm very, very proud that I brought it to an end. And, lots of people have been telling me, Mr. President, you're going to win a Nobel Prize. I don't care about a Nobel Prize. I just wanted the madness to end.
TV umpire to director, we have a player review. Can we rock and roll, please?
Hello and welcome to episode number 168 of the Bits and Pieces podcast, also known as the post-Kohli, post-Rohit Sharma era of Test cricket, which now has officially begun because since the last time we recorded an episode of Bits and Pieces, both Rohit and Virat Kohli have announced their retirements. To talk about this new era, we have a panel of 5. I am Nitin Sundar, your host, and I'm joined, as always, by good friends from around the world, starting with Chops, El Chopper Nose, who has not been on the podcast for a long time. Tony Sebastian is also back, as is Bisi from London, and Mr. Donald Trump himself, Prashant DP, is completing the panel today. So, guys, we all know now that Donald Trump brokered the conversations that led to the retirements of Rohit and Kohli. But what are your initial thoughts?
No, I mean, it's just, I don't know if things will be the same ever again for people who've grown up watching these two. And almost like you have to, I don't know, build fandom in yourself for the new set of people again, the new team again.
The wrong answer. This fellow grew up during Tendulkar era. Tendulkar retired. Then this fellow stopped doing anything. He went back, continued to watch his highlights of Victor Trump only. Did his life change in any material way? What is he talking about?
I think it is going to hit much harder when they actually turn out for the first test and you don't have the Kohli energy on the field and Rohit saying random.
The rest of the team will hit harder because Rohit and Kohli are not hitting only.
Chops is basically chief selector. He's explaining why they were dropped so that other people can hit harder in test matches.
Correct. Oh, this is footprints in the sand based. Like, where were you? Precisely, we are out of the team so the team can perform better. Nice.
No, the beauty of this retirement trilogy, which started off, of course, at the Gabba a while back, is that, Ashwin obviously jumped the gun. I would say he got like his own time and space for his retirement to land and to get celebrated by everyone. Some people are just happy it's so celebrated. Poor Rohit Sharma has completely flown under the radar, like Chinese missiles from Pakistan almost, right? So he announced his retirement and people barely had reacted to it and whatnot. And then suddenly Kohli out of the blue, which probably is the most surprising of the lot, because all the signs leading up to his announcement was that he probably will be going to England, maybe even as captain. Though somebody pointed out that during the CSK versus RCB game, he looked unusually subdued and maybe something was afoot there. And then slowly there were dispatches.
Hey, that is because he liked that Instagram post. No, algorithm accidentally recorded interaction.
Correct. And algorithm accidentally dropped him from test team also. And so he...
By the way, just to clarify, it's not out of the blue, just out of the white. He's still very much in the blue.
Super. Also in the red because RCB. I think we should spend more time talking about Kohli than Rohit because Rohit, yeah, not really in the same league as a test batsman, notwithstanding 2 or 3 great years he had as an opener and or as a captain. Tony, as one of the retired fans of Virat Kohli, you used to be a huge fan. You used to be a bleeding Viratian heart for many years until sometime in the last 5 years when his test average dropped to 30. I think you quietly jumped ship and went somewhere else. So bring it back.
Correct.
Tell us.
He went
Yeah,
to
I mean, I
Sanju
think
Samson. What a waste.
just to touch upon the point that you raised, on 18 December, I had tweeted many retirements upcoming after BGT. First person to retire gets maximum column space. 5D chess from Ashna, as always, a true legend. So prescient from me there. And you said opening thoughts. So I think Rohit Sharma, the test batsman, exists only because of Virat Kohli, right? Strong statement right off the bat. If you think of the Virat Kohli era in test cricket, it's dominated by him sort of donning the captaincy, changing the style of play, and leading India to its best ever patch, right? And I think during the pandemic, probably the one happy memory all of us share are those 2 wins in England, right? And the 60 overs of hell and whatnot. Basically, Virat Kohli, right from the start, has all been all about intent, right? With his love lost for Cheteshwar Pujara and then found again at some point in time. All of this is why Rohit Sharma is a test player at all, right? And found a slot opening because of that whole intent thing. So I think that's enough said about Rohit Sharma. But Virat Kohli retiring from Test is legit coming to end of all of our late childhood and middle age as well, right? And the way he's gone also is like one of those subdued things, right? Obviously, it was way past time for him to go. His slump never ended. And it's for Virat, it's always unfortunately been a game of asterisks, right? You have dominated, but where are the trophies? You have done this, but where is X? Where is Y, right?
In one day, there's also a lot of not outs, a lot of asterisks. Yeah.
And if you think about it, almost the end of the steam was in that South Africa series during the pandemic, where it ended in a farce where obviously there was no crowd allowed. And he is someone who feeds off the crowd, feeds to the crowd so much so that he put 3 players in the dugout, including Mohammad Siraj, to clap for India, right? It is somewhat like a petered out sort of end for the Virat career as well, unfortunately. It was time for him to go, but very, very sad. I don't think we've seen someone who's taken the game by the scruff of its neck as much as Virat Kohli has done and given us lots of joyous moments, right? Not necessarily in the last few years, but definitely probably from 2014 to about 2019, 2020 or so. So, yeah, sad to see him go, but it had to happen. So, what can you do about it?
One thing that's truly bizarre, and you guys should chip in here, is so one is Kohli has always been very, very fit, right? And he is only 36, as people have pointed out, which is even extremely unfit players very much on the physical vein have continued to play and successfully well past that age.
Yeah, Rohit
So it
Sharma is an
wasn't
example.
yeah, Rohit Sharma, even, I mean, somebody like VVS Lakshman, for instance, played for very long and was quite good also. I think he had one of his best years in his late 30s before he retired.
You see how
Several
we are
examples.
also maturing because no one said R. Ashwin just now.
That is also true. But we were talking about people who became unfit as their career progressed. So, sadly.
Days since last decade Ashna. Zero.
So, nobody has had this sort of a prolonged slump in Test cricket, right? Like, the only player I can think of is Saurav Ganguly, for whom it happened at a fairly young age also. And he was carried in the team for a long time. And then, thanks to Chappell, he was dropped.
No, but also it's not just the prolonged slump. It's also the fact that other than Ganguly with the short ball, right? I'm struggling to think of a top order player who has been exposed as repeatedly and as ruthlessly on one particular flaw or one particular dismissal.
His Instagram liking.
No, I'm talking about the sixth stump poke outside the off stump, right? So
Same.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But
That also flirting only.
But yeah, I mean, you'll have to go back to Ganguly to think of such an obvious
Free rider
no, not a free
Not
rider,
a
such
free
an obvious
rider.
flaw that
Yeah.
was exposed
also. Yeah.
repeatedly, and he kept playing. But
Like a
I
bowling machine could get both of them out, basically.
I mean, that's maybe a little harsh, but I mean, the ball needs to do something. But the
No, I
point
was
is,
referring to Pat Cummins.
you're absolutely right, Tony, in the sense that what makes Virat remarkable is not so much the way he batted, right? I mean, you've got above him, you've got Dravid, you've got Sunny G, and you've got Tendulkar. All of them, I would say, are better test batsmen than Virat Kohli, right? But where he was truly unprecedented was as a captain, and the fact that India started playing five bowlers no matter what, which was refreshing to see. And he's not afraid to drop senior bowlers. He's not afraid to change his bowling attack to suit the conditions. All of that was quite refreshing. Watching MS Dhoni set fields and 8-1 fields and all that, this was quite remarkable and refreshing to see.
Yeah, but I want to spend some more time on that slump only, right? Because we will talk about his captaincy also. I don't think we sufficiently mourned it, though we have spoken about it many times.
Hey, this was opening thoughts, da. We'll obviously get into.
Haha. I think it was on the Jared Kimber Robin Uthappa podcast, the Kimappa podcast, where Kimber made an interesting observation, which may or may not be right. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, which is that Kohli as a player and as a captain was always a very, very intense person, who was always putting 100-150% of what he has into what he was doing, right? And maybe at some stage in his life, right, maybe after his marriage, after having children, after thinking about other aspects of his life and his career post cricket, Jared's point was that he must have gone into all of those aspects of his life also with the same kind of intensity. And you sort of did see that in the way he stood up for maybe teammates at times, for his family, for his privacy, etc. And if an individual was doing that, and suddenly cricket is not the only focus in his life and he has other things, then the well from which he is drawing for cricket is not as full as it always used to be, and that might have been very hard for someone like Kohli to deal with. He is still putting his full effort into cricket, but there is just not enough in it for his cricket to be as much at the sharp end as it used to be before he had other things to occupy his mind space. And the
I think
comparison
that's.
Kimber makes is with Tendulkar, for whom cricket was always everything in his life, right? Even as someone, I mean, right through his career
Are you
and maybe
casting
even past.
aspersions at Sachin Tendulkar, the family man? Is this how BNP finally ends? I think it's very, very lazy analysis, right? Absolutely lazy analysis. Because
I agree.
Virat
I
Kohli
think
probably still spends 6 hours in the gym every day, and he brings it all out on the cricket field day in day out. It's not an act. It's not a personality, right? No one can carry off the.
I hear you, but that was maybe, I don't want to be misquoting what or misrepresenting what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying once that he winged it because he
No,
had
no,
other
I'm saying it
priorities.
is
That's not
second
what I'm saying.
nature to him, right? Like him showing up at the gym is probably a matter of discipline that he's cultivated over a period of time. His intensity was always second nature to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that ever waned. I'm just saying that while he was still putting what he thought was everything he had into it, there were other pockets of his life that were taking up more of his energy. And a small example of that, right? Like, I think Jobs on this podcast has spoken about this in the past, how even during his glory run, Kohli had a few limitations to his batting, right?
exactly.
But he was bringing so much to the table that he was able to overcome that and be a beast that could score in every condition in the world, right? Which probably is possible with when Kohli is at his 100% into cricket with 100% of the energy and intensity that he always used to bring into it.
No, this is completely front side back, right? If anything, I mean, why are we shying away
What
from
is this?
calling this? Kohli has been done dirty by BCCI because of certain reasons, right? That's the only reason he lost
No,
his
no.
captaincy in multiple formats. The reason why he's dealing with it with an unexpected level of maturity is because he's found grounding in things outside of cricket, namely his family, which is repeatedly named, right? So for him, this doesn't feel like the end of his life, etc., because he's found, succor elsewhere. But the reason for his like dropping from captaincy in all formats is BCCI, nothing else. Come on.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking about his captaincy. I'm talking about the test average of 30 over the last.
No.
I'm talking about the sixth stump outside off stump and about the average of 30 over 5 years. I literally said let's not talk about captaincy yet. I said let's talk about the slump. Let's talk because we'll come back to the captaincy is what I said.
But
He's saying the slump has happened because he didn't focus his 100% into his cricket alone. And he had
That's
to
also not
divert
what
some
I
of it.
said. I was trying to say that. Okay. Why don't you guys actually listen to that episode anyway? What do you guys think about this 5-year slump?
I actually think Chops nailed it that day, where he said that Kohli was always a limited player. In the sense that you would struggle to think of someone who has scored that many test runs who can't cut, who's got a clear issue playing off the back foot on the offside, who's got an issue against left arm spin, who's got an issue against leg spin. By the end, not to throw shade on a brilliant career, but by the end, there were lots of scenarios where you were fearing for Kohli. If a left arm spinner comes on, wicket is a little slow, you're fearing for Kohli. If there is, if the ball is seaming around, the bowler's nibbling it outside off stump, you're fearing for him. So he was always a limited player. The average of 46 sits about right. He was never a Tendulkar, in that sense. Even though a lot of people compare him to Tendulkar, even though he has the same sticker on the bat, even though he bats number 4, he is no Tendulkar. I mean, Tendulkar reinvented himself 3, 4, 5 times during his career. He was a beast right from beginning to end. That Kohli was not. He had an amazing purple patch, and then he had a prolonged slump. That's all there is to it.
Hey, wait, you're saying it's not a slump, it's a regression to the mean.
Yes.
Wow. That's a big statement.
I mean, 5 years is not a slump, guys. Come on.
I know, but if you're
No,
basically saying these 5 years sort of prove to you that Kohli was an average batsman throughout.
That's a big call.
Okay. Yes, I'm not saying average is harsh.
Wow.
Average is harsh, but he does not belong in the same breath as Tendulkar.
Nobody belongs with Tendulkar. Okay, let's face that. I think Bradman and Tendulkar are out of every discussion for varying reasons, right? Bradman for the absolute numbers and Tendulkar for the longevity and, like you said, reinvention. But if we recorded this episode, let's say in 2018, right, or when was that century? That season basically.
Till the last BGT that he left, Adelaide, he scored 73 and left.
Adelaide,
till that
yeah. At that stage, the trajectory at that point of time was that Kohli will finish very, very, very high. 12,000 test runs probably with an average of 52, 53. Which again is not Tendulkar, but is definitely Tendulkar, and then it would have been Kohli ahead of your Dravid, Gavaskar, anyone else in Indian cricket, and up there with your Pontings and Kallis and Sangakkara, right? Now, my question is, what happened after that? And PDP's point is that this is what it was always going to be, and that because he was Kohli, he ended up getting a longer rope. I find that tough to believe. I mean, I agree that he got a long rope, but I do believe that the Kohli that he saw from 2014 to 2019 was rarefied, man. I don't think there were too many players. I don't think too many batsmen in the world have had 5 years of that kind, right? And you can slice and dice Pontings, the best years of Ponting, the best years of Tendulkar. That is right up there with all of those. And during a bowling era, that too, right? Which, let's face it, is not what your Tendulkars and Pontings had. So, yeah, I don't agree that he was always an average batsman.
I'm not saying he was average. I'm saying he was always a very good player, but he was never a great player, is all.
So he was like a Kalan Samravira.
See, I'll tell you.
Yunus Khan. Somebody shared stats. So Yunus Khan has better stats than Kohli.
I think the whole point about Test cricket is that you can be a limited player, right? Like famously, Pujara is a
exactly.
No, but the difference in the slump is that Kohli had many different ways of getting out, which became obvious, right? Not that he didn't have a cut shot to make runs or whatever, right?
Exactly.
It is that, so that those were new, right? It's not like those always existed in his career that he would like nick out.
He wasn't. He never used to struggle against spinners, right? The way he started to struggle against spinners, he never kept nicking off outside off stump. Right?
Yeah,
like, not
or
every
the
time.
2 England tours for that matter, right? The first one he had a problem, second one he came and fixed it, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, the first tour is actually interesting because the first one he was actually kind of susceptible to the ball coming in. Like he was not sure when to play, when to leave. He actually got out leaving badly a few times. He was absolutely a mess at the end of that first England tour. The second England tour, I think 2014, he had a tough time. 2018, he absolutely seemed to have fixed his problem with a different trigger.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is going against refuting your own point, no?
correct. Of course, see one thing in PDP's defense, or whatever the point PDP is making, the challenges that batsmen have faced in the last 5 years or 4 years, whenever your wobble
It's a
ball came
bowling
into the
era.
picture, not just bowling era, but also wobble ball, I think specifically, where more and more bowlers armed with the tools that it takes to, really confound batsmen by scrambling the seam and landing it outside, and nobody knows which way it's going to go. Batting has become much harder in that period of time. And you could say this about Kohli, right? As probably the busiest batsman of all time, not just this era, but of all time. He actually probably didn't have time to go and work on his batting.
Yeah.
Or work a way around it. I can buy that. For me, it's literally trying to rationalize how this batsman went from that to this, right? Like, even until a year back, all of us on this podcast are like, Kohli is not done, guys. He's going to have a second wind. He's going to turn it around. He's going to come back. He's going to have a big flourish before he finishes. But now that is over, we just, at least in my mind, I'm trying to reckon with the fact that it ended and why it ended. And this is one way I can try and rationalize for myself.
No, I think a lot of this obviously is great to say in hindsight about limited batsmen, etc. Even though I mean I made the point myself. I also think that this weakness that is there is it's kind of the most easily exploitable weakness, right? For Steve Smith, for example, if you have this leg trap that Ashwin and several other teams have come up with, or something with respect to the short ball, it's a it's like a difficult one to execute. You do tons of video analysis, and then you figure out, okay, his hands go like this and body goes like this, etc. But if it comes to just balls outside off stump, that's what every guy dishes out 80% of the time, or that's, I mean, what they're trying to do all the time. That's what the coaching for bowlers is all about. So even if he was, let's say, 17 of 40 balls or something, that one ball could take him away, and that problem became much more pronounced as things went on because obviously people also discovered it. The point is, the weakness is such that it didn't take much for people to dislodge him over a period of time. Old ball, new ball, one ball has to move and things will change. The spin bit is what confounds me much more. I mean, he's grown up on spinning tracks all his
Hey,
life.
same with Kohli.
Yeah, it confounds him too. Yeah, I mean, he's grown on spinning tracks, and he used to be like the like an absolute beast of picking gaps and taking ones and twos, etc. And something like he would also come down the track. Something got into him. I don't know whether it was this whole intent of figuring out how to play spin from the crease itself, or too much defense or something. But he really, got into a trap there, and I can't figure out why did he do that or how did he manage to do that. But otherwise, the off stump thing, I don't think that is like there is much more to it. It's one of those problems that everyone. I mean, if Kohli is a wicket and a problem to solve, then everyone was solving it with the most basic tool that they had, and bobble ball, etc. might have added to the efficacy of the tool, but the tool itself was kind of there for everyone to capture. And I think what also happened over a period of time was he became limited in his scoring options if a certain line was bowled to him. And I mean, the one innings that I remember where outwardly he was, doing okay, defending everything, but you felt like a wicket was on the way all the time was the WPC final against New Zealand, where he was very, very determined. I mean, it seemed like he was very determined to do well and stay out there for a long time. But Kyle Jamieson and Saudi and all of it was just a matter of time, and it kind of came about in that fashion. So yeah, I think that's like the only rationalization that exists, and it's not the one that someone would have opined back in 2018, 17 when he was going through that purple patch. But I think this whole thing about this front foot balance, which what is the name of that coach Fletcher inserted in the minds of all of these people, I think that really screwed him over a period of time.
Day.
I want to understand one thing.
His purple patch came after Fletcher,
No, I
Yeah,
know
I know
that,
that,
but
but
I
that's
mean,
the
it's
genesis.
also it's also something that he became too dependent on. He couldn't like go back to something else once that started unraveling for him. And I mean that's the difference between a Kohli and a Tendulkar. Every time people found a weakness with Tendulkar, he could just figure out a way to still score or like just be patient for longer periods of time.
हे बैट का ग्रिप निकाल के भेजा.
If he was poor in 2014 in England, he found the time and the resources to go and correct that particular trigger. There's this brilliant video and analysis that he does with Nas in terms of where his back foot is pointing in his initial movement as he's facing the ball, right? And he scored a ton of runs in 2018. I don't understand how he couldn't find the time and the wherewithal to figure that bit out post it. Like, if you've been found out in the same manner, you're pretty much getting out again in the same manner. I understand that there are IPL commitments, white ball commitments, etc. But is it not possible for a guy of his caliber and access to resources at least to figure out the right way to go ahead and get this bit sorted out? At least
The solution in 2014 was to spend more time in England, which later became his problem that he kept staying in England. Hey, what 45 minutes full analysis we've done? What podcast
No,
is this?
Wait. We'll come to Tony's non-technical solution to what were Kohli's technical issues.
Stop solving that. This I've been telling you for many podcast episodes.
I'm throwing it to you. I'm bringing you to the point that you raised, which is that none of this had anything to do with technique or whatever. It is purely that Kohli, after being undermined by the BCCI, getting done dirty with the captaincy in 2018, he was never the same player again. He was never in the same environment. It was not his team anymore. He probably didn't feel as comfortable or welcome in that group, in that scenario anymore. Probably receded more into his own cocoon, whether that was spending more time in London or his own personal space. And his batting, as a result, also probably regressed. So, Tony, why don't you?
Yeah, see, Kohli has always been more than just a batter, right? I mean, Bisi, I think you would have been there at the stadium in England when the epicness happened, and you should relate to what it made you feel. Some of it.
Oh, the 60 overs of hell.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I've personally seen Kohli at Wankhede several times. I think it was 2016 when he scored the 200. Later again for the New Zealand tests and all of that, right? And like Kohli at Wankhede is like a dream come true, like whatever the format, but especially more so in tests, right? What he gets out of his players, the stadium, the atmosphere, what he does to it is something, it's a sight to beckon, right? And the only way in which he can do that uninhibited.
One quick plug. There's a piece that Abhishek Chopra has written about a test match against New Zealand. The one where Ajaz Patel got 10, I think.
Yeah.
The first time. it's crazy that I even have to qualify it that way. But yeah,
Ajaz Patel got 10 only once.
No, he got 10 wickets in the match even the next time round.
That is true.
So,
we are trying to forget that. Thanks for not helping us.
So there's a lovely piece that Abhishek Chopra has written about the experience of watching Kohli. So if it's possible, we should definitely.
If only we had that writer on this panel, could have discussed it.
So sorry, as you were.
Yeah. So it's a experience to beckon, right? And the only way he can bring it to bear uninhibited is by being captain, right? Being the conductor of the show, not in a manner that he doesn't let other people participate, because equally he will get everyone else to be a part of that, right? Like he will make sure everyone's acknowledged by the crowd. He'll dance to the tunes. He will make everyone rise up to the occasion and make something happen, right? So Kohli's always been more than just a batter. And I think towards the end, that's also what happened, right? Where he was moved from India's probably most successful era. I think India won 60% of the matches test that Kohli's captain, which is crazy.
Most successful captain for India by miles, and I think third most successful captain in the history of cricket after Graham Smith and Steve Waugh, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
led India to 2 WTC finals. I think India top both of them, or I mean 1 or 2, right? Either way.
Yeah.
Pretty much dominated the scene out and out. And let's be clear, I mean, he was done dirty multiple times over, right? And we should call out the shoddy administration that exists. We should also talk about what Ravi Shastri and Kohli were together, right? Because that was a duo that just put and drove with belief, and made us see things that we never thought were possible, right? Immediately after the Dhoni era of Test captaincy, what they brought was refreshing. And Kohli was never a batsman, right? So I think both of them fed into each other. The fact that his captaincy sort of was important, the fact that the batting also clicked, and it was a sort of virtuous loop. And I think it all fell apart at some point. Plus, also the fact that he's getting older, guys. I mean, we are all in that middle-age phase where we are asking, yeah, what is the point of this race? And I think it got to Kohli at some point when he felt like he was done dirty. And like I said, he's found his grounding outside, and he's stepped away at the right time, maybe a little too late. But obviously, all of these champion cricketers, champion sports people, never think it is time to go. I think, Nito, you mentioned today how Dhoni is still not retired while these guys are still there. Yeah, so I think that's what I just wanted to touch upon. The experience of watching Kohli, yeah, of course, chops his piece, but is to anyone who's seen it live, is a thing of sheer joy, man. That's why even if you don't play the sport, that's why you definitely go to the sport. If you have kids, that's why you take them along to the sport. If you are middle aged like me, that's why you take your dad to the game, and like that's what you talk about. 10 years later when you have drinks together.
And if you're like me and you have promised your dad that I'll show you Kohli at Lords, and he's just retired, I'm in for a lot of trouble right now.
Hey, he's going to relocate to Lords only. You can take your dad anytime.
In a series of misfortunes and falling short of expectations, add Kohli's retirement to the list as well.
Now, as this podcast has made a big hue and cry of over the last few months, the annual Bits and Pieces picnic last year was in Australia to watch the Border Gavaskar Trophy. We didn't know it at that time, but amongst us, Sandeep, Sandy managed to watch Ashwin's last test.
And Adi,
and Aditya managed to watch Ashwin's last test. The whole group of us, I think 11 or 12 of us, we don't have the count exactly, watched what turned out to be Rohit Sharma's last test. And after that, myself and Murli also went to Sydney and ended up watching what turned out to be Virat Kohli's last test match. And the last act of Kohli on the cricket field was on day 3 of that extremely strange, eventually one-sided, but also quite pulsating Sydney test match, where Bumrah had to pull out on the last day because he was done after having bowled hundreds of overs. Rohit was not playing. You had a team where Rishabh Pant was being, heckled by Sunil Gavaskar from off the field. Shubman Gill was not really doing much either. KL Rahul had just sort of established himself back in the team. Basically, there was nobody else to lead the team, and Virat Kohli was the captain on the last day when India had about 150 runs to defend on a pitch which was still doing something. And fast bowlers who had already skittled Australia in the first inning, right? Prasidh Krishna had managed to get a few wickets in that first inning. So there was still some hope that maybe India would throw a spanner in Australia's works. But Sam Constas comes out once again, chances his arm, few of them come off, and suddenly it's 40 for 1. And from there, you know that Australia are not going to lose this game. What I remember about the Kohli era and the Kohli era as captain is usually when India loses an important game in a one-sided way, you will know it by watching India on the field. Now the opposition has like 30 overs, they need 100 to get there, 8 wickets, and the game is over. You know that if anything, India will hasten the finish by the way they play when things go to that, get to that extent. When Kohli was captain, and the Kohli camera did a great job of always focusing on what he was up to. As long as you were watching Kohli, you would think that there is some other parallel game going on because it didn't look like Kohli had ever given up, right? He was still doing everything. He was putting everything into getting the crowd going, getting his team going, getting under the opponent's collar. Whether it was in South Africa where he came and started yelling into the mic, it seemed a little silly in hindsight. Or in England, right? 60 overs of hell where he managed to get the entire crowd and his bowling attack G'd up.
That was a match that we were losing going into day 5, by the way. Lest we forget. Before Shami and Bumrah came out and then we gave 60 overs of hell.
No, absolutely. Right. But that was the same even on his last day of Test cricket, guys, where again, you knew the game was done. And it was a packed crowd that day. That was the pink day at Sydney, right? So you had everyone show up. It was the last day of the series, of a very, very grueling series. And the crowd was getting behind Australia in a big way. And Kohli was being combative with the crowd. With 40 runs to get, Mitchell Marsh was like smashing India's bowlers. The game was done and dusted. But there was this guy who, on his last day in Test cricket, was still up for a battle and was trying to make something happen out of absolutely nowhere. For me, that will be the defining sign of, or the defining memory of Kohli. Everybody's playing one game. This guy is playing some other game where he's still trying to make something happen. You always felt that with RCB. You've seen this hundreds of times with RCB where they put on a great total. Kohli probably has scored a lot of those runs, but then things are not going to plan in the chase. It's only 18 to get to 16 balls, and the opponents have 6 wickets in hand. And then Kohli takes a catch out of nowhere, and then he celebrates like this game is going to turn on a dime now. Right, I'm putting everything into this. The entire crowd gets behind him and everything. Of course, they never win after that. But it is just that enthusiasm that Kohli brings to the field as a captain was quite something.
PDP, you famously refer to KL Rahul as a Shakespearean character, right? You would look at Kohli and think of King Tantalus, right? Like tantalizingly close to everything.
Yeah.
But at least that fucker like ate his son or something, which is why the gods punished him. Virat Kohli just reminds me of that Office meme, right? With Dwight Schrute, where he says, "Sometimes you fail. There is no fucking reason to it."
Yeah.
Right? That is life.
Yeah.
It's like our best lesson for middle age is Kohli's career itself, which is like, I mean, very, very strange, right? Like you say, he's dominated entirety of Test cricket, 2 WTC finals, and Kane fucking Williamson wins a trophy. The way he loses his captaincy, everything is like a pure lesson in sometimes shit goes wrong for no reason at all, right? Apart from what is in his control. I think there are two ways of looking at it. You can either write a sad story about it, or you can say that's life.
If you want to philosophize his career, right? During that whole purple patch, Virat Kohli was like the poster boy of self-help. How to hack your diet.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn, complete LinkedIn.
The LinkedIn era.
Yeah, absolutely. Like how to hack your diet, how to hack your training, and you're getting the results also.
How to do your digit dance. Sorry.
All of that. I mean, but if you look at the last 5 years, that's what makes it beautiful, right? Because he's still doing all of that. It's not like he's gone off. It's not like he's suddenly become fat. It's not like he suddenly stopped training. It's not like he's doing anything different. But the results just aren't coming, and that's in a way it's tragic, and in a way it's beautiful. The beauty is that his optimism never seems to die. It is only our optimism as fans watching him. He comes out with the same level of energy. He's still twirling his bat the same way when he was walking out to bat. There's no difference at all in the way he comes out to bat, whether he's scoring runs or not. And that's beautiful. He's coming out every time with the same josh, whether the LinkedIn stuff is working or not.
Yeah, in between all this, let's not forget the 2023 World Cup was when Kohli was deposed of captaincy and he said, I'll do what my team tells me to, and had a phenomenal World Cup. 2024 World Cup, he had a shitty World Cup, but like in the final, he came to the party, right? Like
that was a fluke innings. You said, sometimes in life shit happens. This is the opposite. Sometimes all your shit just turns to gold.
Of course. Yeah. But I'm saying like his belief never died, right? It's this prolonged slump is like PDP said, for someone who says trust the process. Sometimes trusting the process is not enough, man. Sometimes like life deals you real shit cards. What do you do about it?
Yeah, because the process is finally controlled by the coach and the selectors. I don't think he had any intention of quitting, by the way. It's very clear that.
Yeah, but the results were there. I mean, no one can.
Of course, he had to go. Nobody can defend it, but I don't think he walked into the sunset because he knew he was done. He walked into the sunset because everyone else knew he was done. I don't think he believed he was done. I think he was still sure that he'll turn the corner. But I just wanted to say one thing. I spoke about the last day at Sydney, right? I gave a great account of being there and experiencing Mitchell Marsh smashing the Indians. I don't think he played.
He was not on the
team. Bo Webster.
Well done,
all these tall Australian all-rounders are the same. That's number one.
You're saying on the last day of Sydney, Bo Webster was there, but Virat Kohli still had the biggest dictionary. Is that what you say?
Yabba. Very worst. Nothing encapsulates Kohli's predicaments and his own stoicness in dealing with it as his own post on social media, right? His latest tweet is, I demand performance in everything I do, and my spectacles are no exception. That's why I choose SLR lens with Chrysal shield, clarity, protection, and built for my pace. #paid partnership. This is his first tweet, by the way, after announcing his retirement.
See, one of the debates we often have on our group is, watching cricket on TV versus watching cricket on stadium. And I think it's like Kohli is really the difference between the two. It's not a test match memory, but one of the white ball memories of Kohli at Wankhede that I have is this match against Indies. I think it was a T20 match, and this guy called Kesrick Williams
India scored
was
240, and then West Indies came out to bat.
yeah. This is a random bilateral T20 or something. Uh, so this guy Kesrick Williams was a medium pacer, and he used to do this celebration where he used to, I don't know, write people's names in his imaginary book once he got them out.
Request.
Kohli, obviously, I mean, he must have done it to someone in the Indian team before Kohli came out to bat, and something got into Kohli. I mean, he made sure that this guy was the villain and Kohli was the hero, and he had to really obliterate him. There's this one six that he hits against, I think, Jason Holder of a rank half volley into the leg side. And the TV obviously shows the ball zooming in, I mean, zooming out and, landing among the crowd, etc. But the thing that we watched in the stadium was that when he hit the ball, as soon as he hit the ball, he was off towards fine leg, short fine leg, where Kesrick Williams was fielding, and he was doing the writing celebration for hitting a six. The ball is in the air, like you don't know whether you want to watch the ball sailing into the crowd or you want to watch Kohli going at him again. He'd already done a lot of harm to him when Kesrick Williams was actually bowling. This is when he was fielding and behind the batter. He's so determined to take him on in that manner. So I think the one change that did happen in Kohli was, I don't know, you almost feel guilty of simplifying it or doing such lazy stuff, is that there was a change in him when he became more centered. I don't know if it was something to do with the marriage or family or something. The villain in chief Kohli era was quite something. Peter Lalor, when he wrote his tribute to Kohli on their blog, one of the things that he remembers very fondly was this test match in the 2017 BGT when Steve Smith actually looked towards the dressing room to figure out if they should go for a DRS review or not.
Bangalore.
Bangalore. And after the match is over, Kohli is obviously fuming in the press conference, and Peter Lalor puts up a question to him about this. And Kohli's response is, there is a word for what Steve Smith did, which I don't want to use. And then Peter says, is it cheating? And he says, you said that word, I didn't. And he's so, like, he's a journalist. He's supposed to, know how to use words, and he's a seasoned one. He knows how to manage these situations. But he makes a complete fool of himself in that moment because he is now the person who's kind of accused the Australian captain of cheating. And Kohli has won at it again, outside in a press conference against a seasoned journalist. And he writes how stupid he felt and yet how he, just like couldn't make out how to hate this guy who had, shown him to be a fool. So that era was quite something. I don't know how you
Yeah.
translate that into batting or slump or whatever, but man, especially in test matches, 60 overs of hell and all that.
Yeah, just on that T20 match, chops. It happened actually during the CA NRC protest, right? It was like one very, very weird time where I'm guessing you and I were protesting at different parts, and then we were heading to a T20 match, right? It was a little bit of a weird time. And I wrote something on that day on the December 2019, which got me into the North Stand gang. So I'm just going to read it out. You can delete as required.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
what
yeah.
I wrote. West Indies are born to play T20 and no target is safe, not even 240. Wankhede is packed to the rafters, so much so that someone shouts, Dadar aa gaya kya? Mohammad Shami is absolutely on fire in the third over of the innings and deservedly gets his man of the last ball of the over. The North Stand gang promptly obliges with a chant of Mohammad Shami, clap, 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 clap. Like their other attempts that night, it threatens to die down in a matter of seconds. Except it's the end of the over, and that means Virat Kohli, walking to take his position at slip, hears the chant. He eggs on the gang to get louder. Mohammad Shami, clap, 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 clap. Mohammad Shami, clap, 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 clap. The chant reaches a crescendo as a sheepish Shami puts up his hand in acknowledgement. Kohli, the superconductor, is not done with his orchestra. He underlines the India on his jersey to the North Stand gang. India, India. Deepak Chahar is at the top of his run up. The crowd is expectant, but he stutters to a stop. almost to prove that this scene is not choreographed. He cleans his studs out with a bail. The crowd gets playful. Kohli, Kohli, Kohli. Virat is having none of it. With a serious smile, he shuts us down and points to the India jersey again. India, India. Deepak Chahar, take two. And this time, magic. Shivam Dubey takes a blinder at third man. Kohli points his wand in Shivam Dubey's direction. Shivam Dubey, clap, 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 clap.
Imagine Shivam Dubey took a blinder, man. That is the impact of Kohli. Like
Dubey is overwhelmed. Kohli shows him how to acknowledge the crowd, and he does. For the 15th time this night, the North Stand gang tries to get a Mexican wave going. And this time, we are all on the same wavelength. One round around the entire cauldron, clockwise, I'm assuming. 2 rounds, 3, 4, 5, and then a 6. But this time from Hetmeyer, the wave is broken. Someone holds up their flashlight. In an instant, 30,000 phones follow suit. We've got this now. We are all one. A ray of hope, a moment of unfiltered joy. Thank you, Wankhede. Thank you, Kohli. Thank you, cricket. So yeah, this was like only stuff Kohli can do, man. And all said and done, let's also acknowledge the fact that the reason he was done dirty was that he was always a man of integrity, right? As much as he accused Steve Smith of cheating, and after the Sandpaper Gate, the 2019 World Cup was when he asked the crowd to cheer Steve Smith, right? Because he'd come back after serving his ban and stuff like that. He stood up for all his players whenever someone said nonsense about Shami or any of the other ones. He said, let's acknowledge this, right? And I think the BCCI guy made him skip the question in the press conference and he spoke up. So I think in that sense, right, on 2 counts, Virat Kohli is probably the last cricketer that we'll see, one who is still willing to take it up against and stand for his beliefs, and also to get the crowd going like the way he does, right? So he's much, much more than a batter, even much more than a captain. And he goes away with his head held high in that sense.
Yeah, well said and nicely narrated, Tony.
Shami the bowler, I think while Bumrah was anyway going to have his own journey, and there have been a few others who have come in, but Shami and Siraj, a lot of their career is down to Kohli and Shastri. I don't think anybody pushed Mohammad Shami for making sure that his third spell and fourth spell in the day was as fast or as good and as effective as the first one. And that required a lot of work on his fitness, which he would not have done under any other captain. And this whole second inning Shami that emerged, captains do get a lot of credit for the wins, but even beyond the wins, what they contribute to individuals is far beyond any measure.
Actually, the bowler who's transformed under Kohli is actually Ishant Sharma.
Ashwin.
Ishant Sharma.
Yeah,
I mean, for sure. The guy was going nowhere.
Yeah.
He was going. I don't know if it's to do with Kohli, if it's to do with Shastri, if it's to do with Bharat Arun or what it is. But Kohli got the best out of that attack. And funnily enough, that Bangalore test match that you're talking about, Chops, I was actually there, right? And the beauty is when that brain fade moment happened, right? It is something that all of us can relate with because we have all played cricket at grounds like Somasundaram ground and Gopalapuram ground where when something is happening which is slightly off, right?
Everybody will react.
Everybody, like you can sense tempers flare. So the minute Hanscom and Smith looked at the dressing room, this guy was up everyone's nose. He was in everyone's face. It suddenly felt like it was a test match being played in Gopalapuram or at Somasundaram. There was that level of intensity and that level of passion, where,
and to the Ishant Sharma point, right, where that 2017 series really pivoted is in the third test in Ranchi, where Ishant Sharma bowled a spell for the ages.
In Bangalore.
That was Bangalore.
It was Bangalore. Day two, he bowled like 10 overs on the bounce. It was amazing.
Yeah, because India got bowled out for 190 and then they had to do a holding job on Australia to hold them back. And they keep Australia down to 280 on day 2 and then come back into the test match.
Top scorer in the first innings was, I think, Prince only.
KL Rahul.
Yeah.
92 something.
Whose ground is it there?
Gopalapuram ground.
Shreyas Gopal.
Shreyas Gopal. On the whole done dirty bit, right? We don't know anything about what transpired before that Edgbaston test match when
Old
that team
Trafford,
came back, right? Basically the test match that did not happen. because that was the peakest peak of the Kohli era, of the Kohli Shastri era. And then Shastri got COVID and took the kids for a book signing session or something, and the test series ended there. And 2 weeks later, Kohli had announced that he will be stepping down from one-day captaincy after the T20 World Cup, which followed. And there was a lot of cloak and dagger stuff coming out about Ganguly and Kohli, and I think in the next 6 months,
Ganguly?
Kohli has...
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah,
Ganguly
of
era, right?
course.
Yeah,
He
that
was
was when
BCCI.
Ganguly was the...
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something that transpired at that time. We don't know what. And hopefully there will be a tell-all from somebody. I don't know whom. It's unlikely it's going to be Kohli. But maybe
Ashwin.
we'll find out what Ashwin. Ashwin wasn't in that squad, was he? You won't know. But less than 6 months from that was that South Africa series, right, where Kohli misses the test, I think, because of the birth of his second child or first child or something. That's the test that India wins, and Rahul gets a century and all. And then Kohli comes back for the third, and that ends up being his last test as captain, right?
Yeah, that's where he gets the guys to clap in the...
Exactly, right? So that's where a lot of things come together, right? Around the time when a lot of talk around Kohli spending time in England, Kohli losing his captaincy. This is immediately after the COVID break as well from cricket, which really, if you trace Kohli's career graph, his batting numbers really start dropping from the COVID time. All of these happened at the same time, right? Loss of captaincy, the family thing, the personal, going more into the personal space, and COVID, lesser time batting, etc. What we know is that the next 5 years were not good for Kohli, and maybe
So you're
someday...
saying this is a multivariate analysis? Multivariate
Long
analysis.
COVID.
It is a multivariate analysis, and somebody needs to do keep some variable stationary and do the right thing and tell us what happened.
Do the right
thing. Regression analysis, perfect. Multivariate regression analysis is what. It is very easy to do this now. Anyway, guys, when Rohit Sharma first made his entry in cricket, his innings used to last only 2 minutes. People used to call him 2 minutes Maggie noodles. Let us at least give 2 minutes to Rohit Sharma's test retirement as well. I think this one is even more clear. I think Rohit's decline was dramatic, and given his body of work earlier, no jokes being alluded to here, I don't think anyone expected him to turn the clock back in test cricket. Also, seeing the way he's been playing in other formats where he's
Body of work and work on body.
See, the thing is this, right? With Kohli, you keep seeing him in one-day cricket, right? That World Cup and how he played even in the Champions Trophy, etc. And you believe that, yeah, this guy still looks like an organized, sorted batsman in other formats. With Rohit, you don't get any of those illusions anymore, right? He's out there playing a very different brand of cricket, one that very clearly says, as a test batsman, he's probably done. He's not going to be able to carry this kind of an approach into test cricket. So it's probably an easier call to let him go. And anyway, after he was dropped for the 5th test in Australia, the signs were already there. But what do you guys make of the Rohit Sharma career? One of the most interesting careers, I would say. One of the most interesting career graphs.
Yeah.
Nobody could have predicted in 2013, 2014 that this guy will end up being a successful test opener and test captain for India, right? And that's not a very long time back.
Successful test captain bit is a bit too much.
No, by successful, I just mean somebody who by rights became the Indian captain, and by the way, didn't do too badly. I know it is a time when things fell apart and all, but still led India to one WTC final. No, he took over after
he inherited that.
He inherited the team from the WTC final.
Rohit led the final, but Kohli got them there.
Kohli got them to the finals. Correct. And Rohit was in the final.
So what I meant was more like, who would have thought that this guy will become a test captain one day? And rightfully so. Nobody was even going to question it. So I thought that was interesting.
I think with Rohit Sharma, the potential that was there was immense. It's very easy to pigeonhole him as unfulfilled potential, but honestly, sometimes the simplest explanations are the best explanations. And I don't know what more he could have really done. I don't think the intensity of Kohli was for him at all. I don't know what else he could have done to become a better player with a higher average or whatever else it was. But some of those knocks that he played in that last tour of England were unreal. The kind of patience he exhibited and the shot selection that he did against some very good bowling was absolute joy to watch. And I think he should perhaps look back on his test career with a fair bit of regret. Maybe also with a what if question of what he would have done if he would have moved to the opening slot earlier, because the number 5, 6 spot where your role is kind of neither here nor there, and a little bit of everything was perhaps not suited for his temperament. Maybe if he would have started off at number 4 or something, it would have been a very different ball game. By the fag end, he was so hell bent on the white ball stuff that he just let himself go, and I mean there was no coming back from there. With other players, you often felt that they were trying to make the adjustment from 50 to 20 to tests, etc. But Rohit kind of just let himself go, and he was never going to make big runs with that kind of attitude. And yeah, by the end, it was a sorry sight to see a player with so much potential just give it away. Never really make it to anywhere near his potential.
I disagree, man. Rohit's best years in Test cricket came after his best years in One Day cricket, actually.
No, that's true. I don't disagree with that at all. I'm just saying that it
No,
was such a
so
short-lived phase of
Yes,
tests.
yes.
I think what Chops is saying is that yeah, okay, Rohit was a beast of a one-day player throughout, but it is in that sort of manic phase of his one-day career towards the end where he was all out intent. It kind of felt like he lost his defense.
I think by then he was done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
by then he was done.
Hey, he was just an India player, no? Overseas, his record is not great.
No,
No,
why?
no, it's amazing.
Why?
Not
What
a-
are
he
you
had a
saying?
very
What are
good
you
tour
saying,
of
it's
England.
amazing.
England averages 40. England averages 40 in 14 innings.
His average in Australia is 24. Average in Bangladesh
It's a
is
very
6.
short-lived
It's
streak.
it's
In
a
South
see,
Africa, his average is 16. Oh, in West
How
Indies,
many
his
Test
average
matches
is
did he even
58.
play in South Africa?
no,
6 test matches, 12 innings.
no, and also the point is you have to compare
You're
it
right.
with other
I know I'm
players.
right. I can see the numbers in front of me. What do you
See, Rohit's Test peak was very, very short-lived. It was maybe 2 years, and it was a time when a lot of Test matches happened for India at home, except for
And
that
West
England series.
Indies, he scored a mountain of runs in West Indies, basically.
He also missed the because of COVID and coming late. He joined that 2021 series in
Yeah,
Australia
late
in a strange way,
after the
and
third
did well, by the way. He
yeah.
scored runs, if
Yeah,
I remember, in the third Test, right? And
reasonable.
yeah, but it was a short peak. And one thing I agree with Chops is maybe if he had found his groove as an opener earlier, right? If he had got that opportunity earlier and settled into it, maybe he would have had a longer run of sustained brilliance.
The contrast with Kohli cannot be more stark, no? So, for example, when Kohli was on that tour of Australia, there's that very famous Manjrekar tweet where he said they should give Virat Kohli a test just to show that he doesn't belong here.
Just to ensure that he doesn't belong.
Whereas that was never the case with Rohit. It was so clear
Because
that
he's from Bombay.
no,
That's
da, come on, the guy is oozing talent. Okay.
I know what
He's
you're saying.
losing.
He's oozing talent. Like it was never in any doubt that this guy has got what it takes to play at that level. But it just so happened he got a chance and then he got injured before his debut. There were lots.
Riddhiman Saha.
Yeah, yeah. And there were lots of things that could have, should have. I don't know. I agree with Chops. When I look at Rohit and I think of what he could have been and what he ended up being, it's always unsatisfying.
There's this one six that he hit, I think, of Pat Cummins that comes on highlight reels every now and then.
Cover drive.
Cover drive six.
Yeah.
Adelaide. Day 1,
It
2018.
you
Yeah.
I mean you look at that shot even now and it's like what the absolute fuck. Like there is no other expression for it, and I don't think my expression is ever going to
27.
change for that shot. Like you get that shot, and if you just take that shot and you show it to someone and say, okay, predict this guy's average, someone who's never watched.
Hey, this is like taking one Travis Head innings and saying he should have done that, this and all that. Please.
No, it's
That he did run,
no, it's
Take a different example, please. Avishka Gunawardhane cover drive. That is what you want to say.
Temba
No,
Vevuma
it's-
is dying right now because of this jingle.
Jasprit Bumrah's hook in England for 6.
yeah, but
Madras,
it's the
Madras.
kind of shot that just like
Washington
it's unreal.
Sundar.
And then you see
Yeah,
what
no look
happened
six.
to him by the end of his test
Come on,
career.
yeah.
is just
See, if
brutal.
anything, Rohit Sharma's luck is like flattered him so much. Some random crap, please. Rohit Sharma.
What?
We should be speaking about R. Ashwin. Let's spend time talking about Rohit Sharma.
What levels have you come to now?
Are you saying
This is the
Rohit
thing.
Sharma belongs in the pantheon of great Indian batters or
No.
captains or any of these
No.
things?
Doesn't-
Then
No.
he
why are we
doesn't.
wasting time?
To some
Nonsense.
extent, right? Rohit is actually flattered to some extent.
Of course, he's flattered.
Because we like having duality, right? So since there is a Virat Kohli, who is the second most likely person in this group to get a big fan following, happens to be Rohit. And I think that ended up flattering him. He's become a much bigger brand than he ever really deserved to become.
Rohit Sharma,
No, I
PR
don't
army.
No, I think all of that stuff is true. PR and all of that is true.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing is, if you fall into the trap of what looks like beautiful batting or
Yeah.
what looks like nice
Yeah.
cricketing shots, etc.,
It's a Karl Hooper syndrome.
Oh, there's a name for it.
Huh?
Fuck.
One second. I'll give you the exact counter example. Rohit Sharma looks beautiful when he plays. He got enormously lucky. Sanju Samson looks good when he plays. He got really bad luck. Okay, doesn't mean like you are now saying because Rohit Sharma hit great shots, he should have been an even greater cricketer. No, he's got very lucky to be where he is right now. Please, enough of this nonsense.
like-
160 hit suddenly is like
No,
being
how?
compared to
Lucky
Virat
how?
Kohli. It seems rubbish.
I don't know where you brought Sanju into this. I mean, I'll excuse you.
It have beautiful shots, ra.
you don't get 100 in England.
Take Sanju back to 2013, 2016. He's not getting 3 one-day double hundreds, right? Let's be very clear about that.
We're talking about Test cricket now. He's talking about some Pat Cummins 6 in.
Sanju in Test cricket, only you have seen that. Nobody in this world has seen Sanju.
How are you not able to break it down objectively? This fellow's point is just because he bats beautifully, he should have done better. That is such
That's
a crap
not-
analysis.
That's not what he's saying.
No, that's not the
That's not
point
what
I'm
he's
making
saying.
at all.
Go back to your previous benchmark. In terms of being a limited batter, you are saying Rohit Sharma is more accomplished than many of the others and deserves to have a higher average. Is that what you're saying?
That is not what he's saying either.
And then what are you saying? Let him say what he's saying. No.
Okay, you say that, Chops.
That you already said no. Second inning, Shami. Ek aur baar bol.
If you bring a framework, you have to stick to it yourself.
Wait a
Okay.
sec.
For
Actually-
Virat Kohli, it can't be that
Okay.
all
Let
of
me-
these things. And for Rohit Sharma, the yardstick can't be he hit a six of Pat Cummins over cover.
Actually, let
you
me-
bring
let
the
me-
same yardstick and then talk about
That's
the same
bullshit.
two different
That's
batsmen.
bullshit. That's bullshit. The point is this: you don't score a Test 100 in England as an opener if you are only going to rely on your luck. The guy had potential. The guy had class. If you're only relying on your luck, the point
Who's
is
saying
the
luck,
guy had
yeah?
tons of potential. Hey, you were saying luck all the time. The point is that guy had tons of potential. He didn't fulfill it. That's it. The record flatters him. He had a very small peak, and he had lots of tests to play in India outside.
Hold on. Record flatters him?
Yeah,
Then how are you saying he should have done better than he did? Both statements don't go along
because he
together,
had the
man.
potential.
I told you this is a pointless argument.
Why is it a pointless?
Both these fellows are getting to semantics. Let me deconstruct.
You can't just what the
Okay, give me 2 minutes. After that, you guys can resume your ladai if you want.
Oh,
to.
Maggie noodles.
Uh,
Yes, Rohit Sharma contribute. See, Rohit obviously was a very talented batsman. Took a long time to find his right groove in the Indian team. When he eventually did find his groove, given the age and stage of his life and career he was at, and his natural fitness, his peak was always going to be short, which it was. We don't know. These are counterfactuals. We don't know what would have happened if Rohit was pitchforked to open the innings in 2010 and got a full 10 years. Maybe he would have gone on to make great numbers. Maybe he would have been found out early and he would have had as shit a tour as Kohli did in England in 2014 and might have even been thrown out. He might not have had the wherewithal or the determination to come back the way Kohli did. We don't know, right? If you look at the trajectory, right, you would assume in the cold light of hindsight, right, you can look at eras, right? We had Fab 4 in the previous generation. We had not very Fab 4 in this generation as well, right? So Kohli and Tendulkar is match for match. Both of them batted at number 4. Pujara and Dravid batted at number 3. Similar-ish sort of approaches to batting and all. Obviously, Dravid's record completely dwarfs Pujara's. People will argue Pujara batted in a more difficult generation. I'm not even getting into that argument. But that is the parallel. And Rahane and VVS Lakshman also sort of make sense there. Some great innings away from home. A lot of disappointing failures which you just cannot make sense out of. If you take Rohit Sharma, the obvious parallel is Sehwag, right?
Devang
No,
Gandhi.
Sehwag.
Dev.
Because both of these are batters who started off as middle order players
Yeah.
and had like very, very good numbers in the middle order, were pushed to open later in their careers, right? And Sehwag actually is the counterfactual because he was pushed to open much earlier. There was nowhere else he was going to get a chance in the middle order. With Rohit, they kept trying him at 6 and 5, and when Rahane has dropped and Pujara is suddenly not showing enough intent, Rohit comes back, that. Eventually only got to open much, much later in his career. But the funny thing is, the sort of body of work they built, right? Becoming absolute intent
Again,
six
body of work.
hitters. Sehwag has to be, no?
Correct.
Exactly. Both of them are known for their big six hitting, right? More than anything else. And the fact that they could really take on a bowling attack and shred it to pieces in the
Are we
early
really
overs,
saying
again,
Rohit Sharma is comparable to Sehwag as a test batter?
I'm not. As much as Pujara is comparable to Dravid. None of these are comparable, in my opinion. I don't think Tendulkar is comparable
This
to
is the
bowling
least
idols.
comparable of all the comparables there.
Fine,
Please.
who cares?
I actually get Netu's point. So even his end is very Sehwag like, where towards the end Sehwag looked
Just fell apart.
absolutely clueless. Like he just fell apart.
Fat, slow, clueless. Yeah,
I think Rohit was basically riding on the reputation of his one-day game, and that is why he got all sorts of the long rope that he did in Test cricket, including the captaincy. And it was the reputation entirely built.
Are
on
you
his
saying
body
Rohit
work.
Sharma is not the Sehwag but the Ganguly of this era?
I can't even think of any parallel because of their ODI accomplishments. They would get a long rope in Test. I can't even think of one.
No,
I think
Ganguly is
he's
actually the
unique in that
perfect
case.
example there, because Ganguly would go and score runs against Kenya and Namibia and played for 5 years in Test cricket without deserving to. So,
I mean, maybe.
You want to fight with Iman, just fight with Iman.
Kohli, last 5 years, Kohli, best example. What else you want? Hello. His one-day cricket only confused everyone because he looks so good in one-day cricket all the time, right? 2 minutes silence for Rohit Sharma.
Hey, so much we spoke. Hey, please cut out this full Rohit Sharma part. So unnecessary.
Only Donald Trump is going to be there. All this is just us bearing our hearts to each other. See, Donald Trump has already said what we should do with this episode. The IPL is going to resume, guys. And unfortunately,
Johnny Bairstow is going to be here.
I also have to say, Bits and Pieces created a lot of confusion by reminding the South African team that they have to play a WTC final. Promptly, the South Africans left India. No, actually, because of the war, they left India. But now they're being asked to come back, and some of them are coming back. So this is how it ends, guys. Virat Kohli announces his retirement from Test cricket. The BCCI flexes its muscle and ensures South Africa does. Half an hour into day one of the WTC final, Kagiso Rabada will still be bowling in the IPL. After which he will fly over to Lords to bowl in the second session of the WTC final. This is how it ends. But
Superb.
yeah, are you guys G'd up for the IPL?
G'd up.
G'd up.
He G'd up like that.
After its longest ever strategic timeout.
But guys, thoughts about the next Indian captain.
Thoughts about next Indian captain?
KL Rahul is amazing.
Depends on who it is, Ra. Otherwise, all I know what to think.
KL Rahul for the win.
KL Rahul. What about you, Nitu?
Hey, it'll be Bumrah,
maybe.
but unfortunately, like his fitness will only deteriorate even more, no?
Frankly, I don't think there is one clear choice, and all of them are going to be iffy choices only.
Yeah.
Whoever it is. I don't think any of them is a slam dunk.
It's not going to be Pant. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
going to be fun.
That's
It might be Rahul or it might be Gill. I somehow don't think it will be Bumrah for now.
Why?
Because it's not even clear that he'll play each and every.
He won't play every test match, for sure.
KL Rahul will. I want him to,
but now he will
Once
for
they make him
sure.
captain, he will play at least 5 test matches, after which he'll be dropped due to form. After which they'll have a new captain. Yeah, that can happen.
Hey, but KL Rahul will be the guy with the most tests, no, in this series? Rahul or
Jaddu.
Bumrah?
Ravindra Jadeja, man, the cockroach. He has outlived everyone.
number one all-rounder.
No. Ashwin has actually said on some pod, no, that he should be.
Hey, Jadeja is not retired.
No, not from any format, only T20. That also is some accidentally press the button. Like nuclear. Who would have thought from the 2008 under 19 team, Virat Kohli will retire before Ravindra Jadeja from Test?
No, Macha. Did you see that Ashwin put on his podcast
Longest time
something?
as number one all-rounder in ICC rankings. Ravindra Jadeja has just made a new record. He is number one all-rounder in ICC Test
1100
rankings.
days.
And he has had that for longer than Shakib Al Hassan, longer than
Ben
Garfield
Stokes.
Sobers. No, probably the rating didn't exist back then. Longer than Robin Singh and all the other great all-rounders that we know.
Lakshmi Ratan Shukla.
Robin and all the.
R. Ashwin actually said on his pod, no, that if you need a temporary captain only till someone is more experienced, you make Jadeja the captain.
He
That
will
he
say
said
whatever
for
he wants.
views, that. Only so that you pick
he
it up
says
and run with it.
contrarian shit. Yeah. You fell for it.
Hey,
So-
we are also doing that, but we are not getting views there.
Because you're not a fucking 500 test bowler. 500
You're not Padma
wicket
Shri
test
awarded,
bowler.
Dad.
You're a
That's the
bloody
problem.
Sanju Samson fan.
But I returned Tupperware to its owners. I think it's time to put a lid on it.
Much like Virat Kohli's test career,
Yeah.
guys. Anything else?
Sorry,
anybody
Chops
else
was saying
wants to-
something. Ashwin, say that. You say.
No, it's fine. Everything that has to be said about Ashwin has been said already.
By himself.
Oh God, what a
Yeah.
loser! I read somewhere today that he's been asked to not put out videos for CSK matches apparently.
Hey, Chops. Did you get inter?
He's not an Indian explorer, internet explorer. He is in like papyrus Chinese civilization. He's now reading. Digvesh Rathi has written updates for
You just bought your dial-up mode in Chops.
Macha, India-Pakistan war, you know, it has happened. Over. Match over. We are talking about Shubman Gill, he is talking about Kargil, this fellow.
In between this absolutely ridiculous thing that Chops has said, it reminded me of something even more ridiculous, which is that BCCI wants Kohli and Rohit Sharma to be present during the first test to give them a guard of
Guard of
honor.
Nice.
We pulled you out from England in the middle of a test series. Now we'll put you there also for no reason. Just to go to
Kohli said, I'll anyway be there only.
Also
Hey, so
clarified
Ashwin-
that you will have access to your A-star contract.
You
That doesn't
have-
go away.
Severance package, acha hai. Microsoft say better severance
You will
package.
continue.
ICC.
A-star contract doesn't change. Whatever A plus A-star.
So Ashwin is not invited for it, huh?
Not included.
No, da, Ashwin retired mid-series, no?
They told him we'll give you guard of honor in Boxing Day test match. He was already on the return flight. He said, okay.
Yeah.
That's How can you give him guard of honor after 2 test matches have been played after he retired? It's not possible.
Hey,
you got
Virat
Padma
Kohli's
Shri?
100th
Enough.
test was commemorated by Delhi Cricket Association
Correct.
after he played
Played
120 tests or something.
Hey, maybe PGK is anyway giving him guard of honor, so that's fine.
Gand of dishonor for Ravi Ashwin.
Man. But in that sense, actually, this guard of honor will probably be longer than Rohit Sharma's last few test innings. No, like it'll be
Yeah.
the most time he spent out in the middle.
He might
Off
do a
late.
hamstring or something. Talking of guard of honors, the stupidest guard of honor of all time has to be Tendulkar's final guard of honor. Do you guys remember this?
Where they
Where-
did that.
What?
It was like playing
yeah.
chain cut.
Exactly. And before the day, I
This
think on
was
day
Wankhede,
3,
no? West Indies.
Wankhede. So that day 3 of I think the match ended on day 3 or day 2. But the previous day, Dhoni said, we are going to do something special for Sachin tomorrow. Okay. And everybody's like, okay, maybe these guys have some great plan.
Rangoli.
The special thing was 5 people from the team on either side form a guard of honor. Tendulkar walks through it. As he walks through, he comes to the end of the guard of honor. Now those 5 guys, they form like a reverse chain, and the guy who was first goes and completes the chain again. Like this, they went all the way from the pitch till the outfield. And to see someone like Ishant Sharma so uncoordinated, running like a giraffe from one side to another,
Saurav Gangli.
it was the stupidest thing ever. And Harsha Bogle's mellifluous dulcet tones accompanying us all the time. I have not seen a stupider thing being done in terms of tribute. It was such a nice emotional day, but that guard
Can
of
we just
honor-
say yes?
Wait for Headingley.
Wait.
Headingley now. Just you wait.
Headingley. That's where the first test is.
First test is at Headingley.
Gone.
What an anticlimax. A nice, meaningful ground like Lords or, Chelmsford. Something.
Gopalapuram.
Gems.
Acha, Gopalapuram was good, Ra.
Somasundaram.
Headingly. Yeah, worst.
Sorry.
Super guys. IPL resumes and Test cricket is dead. That is the update from Bits and Pieces. Thank you so much.
Ashwin can't put out videos again.
Multivariate regression.
World has gone from Ashwin being asked not to make videos when CSK are playing to CSK being asked to not play when CSK are playing because they play so
This is
badly.
that banner. Make all your YouTube videos now. Ashwin is playing. Like, commit all your sins now. Sachin is batting.
Thank you. Bye. Lovely episode. See you again next time.
Are you telling us or the listeners?
Listeners, Ra. You are only listeners.
No, before Hank jumps on us in the comments, we have to say, amongst many people, he also said, Gautam Gambhir is here to clear this thing. And
Rubbish.
the way he's doing it is not right, but if that's all he does, good enough. So I
So
think,
he
yeah,
gave him some chemical kind of name. He called him change reagent or some nonsense like that.
Agent Vinod, there's a reagent Gambhir.
Yeah. Change agent or some nonsense. he gave
change
him.
reagent.
Change reagent.
If Gambhir is here to remove all the waste, then this podcast better watch out. Who knows what he might do.
So I'm picturing Gambhir with a pipette now, da. Or is it burette? Like what? Gautam Gambhir sucking up a pipette and removing.
Yeah,
Adding
everyone else
change
is sucking
reagent.
up to Virat and Rohit, but Gambhir is sucking up with a pipette. Okay.
Oh, see.
Everybody say bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.